Hi everybody, now in this video I wanted to talk about the good and the bad of a Steam Deck. So if you're thinking about buying one, what are the things that should be on your kind of shopping list of pros and cons? And I don't like to blow my own trumpet, but one of the good things about this channel is the fact that when I'm talking about handheld gaming PCs, I do have a Steam Deck, but I do have a ROG Ally Windows-based machine as well, with the Steam Deck being a Linux Steam OS version. And I think it's very important to be able to have a comparison when we're talking about these things. So we've kind of, somewhere in the middle, we kind of have a base level. I'll be doing a separate video about the ROG Ally 2. So anyway, let's get started. So first, the thing that you need to remember with all of these gaming PCs, all of these handheld gaming PCs, is they're all trying to fit a square peg in a round hole. And what I mean by that is that they play PC games. And PC games traditionally have always been made for laptops or desktops, more properly, that are using a big screen and are using mouse and keyboard, where obviously all of these handheld devices, they're using really small screens and using thumb pads and D-pads and buttons. And so that's what I mean in the fact that you're trying to play games that are designed for big screens and mouse and keyboard on small screens. So you know, it is a compromise like that. There's not many games that are designed specifically for the smaller screens of the Steam Deck and of the ROG Ally. So there tends to be a compromise. And these devices, both of them, tend to work better on older games, which again aren't optimized for smaller screens. Now they do have magnifiers and things that you can use to zoom in and stuff, but bear that in mind. So let's talk about the bad things as well. So with the Steam Deck, I think that the screen is an amazing HDR screen, an OLED screen, but it's not VRR. It's not variable refresh rate. And until I had to go on the ROG Ally's variable refresh rate screen, I didn't realise what a difference that would make. And that's important on handheld gaming PCs, because handheld gaming PCs can't be as powerful as their full-size laptop or desktop equivalents, which means that if you have a screen that can make low frame rates look better, which a VRR screen does, like on the ROG Ally, then that will look better. What in effect this means is that whereas with a ROG Ally or any device that's got a variable refresh rate screen, you can run it at lower frame rates. So say newer games, you can run it at lower frame rates and it doesn't look as bad. The Steam Deck isn't as good at disguising that, so just bear that in mind. It's a bit of a pain. File transfers to PC can be difficult, so I would like that to be better as well. In terms of being able to, for example, save stuff to the micro SD card and plug it into my computer and do it that way, or simply plug this into a computer and transfer stuff across. Now, I think I know why Valve went all black with the Steam Deck OLED. It was so that all of your focus would be on this amazing screen, and the fact that with an OLED, the difference in black between the sort of the bezel around the screen, or even the case, and the actual blacks of the screen itself are very, very small. But sometimes it would be nice if there were some accents around the various buttons and things, just so that you could see them a little better. And this isn't specific to the Steam Deck, but I would like to see these handheld PCs have a SIM card slot in them, so that you could have mobile data without having to rely on doing a hotspot to your mobile phone. And the biggest problem about the Steam Deck is the fact that it runs off Steam OS, which means that it's not a simple matter to get other launchers working. You know, this really is married to, you know, the Steam Store and the Steam launcher. You know, it's all about that. But if you have a lot of games on the Epic Game Store, if you have a lot of games on GOG, or if you have games on, say, Ubisoft or something like that, or like Call of Duty with their launcher, with Battle.net, it's not simple to get those things running on a Steam Deck. And in fact, it kind of negates the ease of use of the whole point of having a handheld. And that also runs into compatibility as well. Because this is running Linux, a Linux-based system, some games just don't work. So, for example, things like Call of Duty, things like PUBG, Assetto Corsa is one that wouldn't work. Battlefield 1 at the moment doesn't work, and that's because of an incompatibility between Linux and the game. The way that it kind of works is you have this Linux operating system in the middle, and then you have kind of an interface program that converts the Windows games that are saying, "Oh, I need you to do this," and then the interface kind of converts that into Linux, and it works very, very well, and it means things work very, very smoothly. But it does mean that some games just simply don't work. So I would always say, if you are buying one of these for a specific game, make sure that game actually does work, and when you look at videos of it working, just check that someone hasn't done something like install Windows on the on the Steam Deck, because at the moment, the time recording the video, you can't do that. Hopefully one day maybe there'll be a simple way to have a dual boot to Windows, or more likely just a way where all games can be compatibility. So that's the bad stuff out of the way. Let's talk about the good stuff on the Steam Deck, and we got to start off with the screen. I know I said that a VRR screen is arguably better, but the HDR screen on the Steam Deck is something else. It does look absolutely amazing. The blacks of the blacks are incredibly black, and the brights can be super, super bright, so that's beautiful. The thumbsticks are really nice, and the D-pad and the buttons, all this sort of stuff, feels well put together and feels like it's good quality stuff, where maybe, and I'll talk about this in the ROG Ally video, maybe they compromised on the quality of things like the thumbsticks. The fact that you've got these touchpads, which are not only touchpads in terms of you can move a cursor around, but they're also buttons as well. The fact that we have these extra 4 buttons on the back there that you can see, and also we have the Steam button there, and we have the options button there, as well as your standard options and select buttons or share buttons on the top. That's amazing. The SD slot being micro SD slot being on the bottom is really important, because it avoids the problem with heat that the ROG Ally has had. The whole Steam OS experience is very important, because having Steam OS on this device, and it being made by Valve, who makes SteamOS, means that the operating system can be finely tuned to the hardware capabilities of the Steam Deck. We do have the Steam Deck LCD, the original one, and now we have the Steam Deck OLED, and they come in various memory capacities. But overall, the performance of the APU, the graphics, and the CPU processor inside these devices are broadly the same. There's not much in it, which means that Valve can really fine-tune the operating system to get the most out of the hardware in a way that Windows, Asus or Acer or MSI or whoever makes a Windows machine simply can't do, because Microsoft aren't going to, or they haven't already produced like a custom version of Windows that gets the most out of that particular machine, whereas Valve with the Steam Deck can. So you have this console-like experience that's very, very smooth. You can turn it on. It does things like the updates get done in the background, and you can choose to install them when you want. You don't have all the glitch and all the gunk that comes with Windows. It means you have a longer battery life. And generally it is almost a console-like experience. If you've got an Xbox or a PlayStation, when you boot into those and you go into the OS and the store is kind of integrated with the desktop, it's very much like that. You've got all your news that pops up, you've got all your games and all that sort of stuff. Very, very smooth, very, very enjoyable. And I think probably the most important thing, the reason why the Steam Deck OLED especially is like this, is because this is really version 3 of the Steam Deck. You had the LCD, original LCD, and then through its life cycle, it has had various changes to the internals on the LCD. And then when the OLED came out, they changed a load more stuff as well. So in fact, this is version 3, and there is a famous saying within tech, is that you shouldn't really buy anything until it gets to version 3, because it means that the manufacturer has gone through a lot of growing pains and discovered a lot of problems that, say, something like the ROG Ally has suffered from being version 1 of something, to produce a product that is very special indeed. They've improved things like the thumbsticks are much better, the buttons are much better, the battery life is much better, the fans are better, it's less noisy, it's lighter. All these sorts of things have come into effect. I think that's a big plus in terms of the Steam Deck. So really, for me, the Steam Deck would be absolutely perfect if it didn't have the problem with compatibility. You know, if quite often you think, oh, right, I fancy playing, for example, like playing DayZ. Yes, it can play DayZ, but it doesn't handle mods very well. It can't play Assetto Corsa because Assetto Corsa has like this little launcher. It can't play, you know, PUBG. It can't play Fortnite. It can't play Call of Duty. If it could do those things, then the Steam Deck would absolutely be let me roll back. It would be 90% of the way there. I think if they had a variable refresh rate OLED screen, I don't know even if that's a thing. It would be perfect because the advantage of the VRR screen is the fact that it makes low frame rates that sometimes are forced on handheld PCs because they can't be as powerful as a gaming desktop or a gaming laptop. It makes them look smoother. But overall, I smile every time I get my Steam Deck out of its case and turn it on and I'm playing with it. And you don't have to think about Windows trying to do an update or anything like that. It tends to just work when it works. You know, when it works incredibly well. But it's just that compatibility thing. So there we go. Hopefully that's useful. If you've got any points you would like to raise yourself, please put them in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed the video, hit like. If you want to see more of the same, press subscribe. And of course, I'll see you again soon.